Hello and welcome to the Stamping Society's November tutorial bundle. This month we are creating projects out of our comfort zone. I'm Angela Meiritz-Reid of Stamping Beauty in Christchurch, New Zealand, and today I'm sharing my tutorial and I'm using the framed and festive stamp set and the dies, the framed florets dies. There's also another stamp set which goes with this bundle, which is the framed florets, and that is available this month for purchase. It also comes this month as a special offer with DSP and some embellishments, so good time to get it if you'd like those extras. They are only available while supplies last. If you'd like to purchase the written tutorials for our projects, please click on my blog link below. And if you live in New Zealand and would like copies of the current catalogues, please message me. I'd love to send them to you. And just a note about our tutorials, they include all the products and measurements to create your projects. Right, to get started, I've got a real red card base, and I've chosen real red because it's one of the colours in this designer series paper. Fold that in half and burnish that, and set that aside. And the next layers, this is a piece of Sahara sand, and I've got this piece of DSP that's going to sit just a couple of millimeters shy of the layering piece of Sahara sand, and then I've got these two pieces of point scent here, and I'm going to rip those, but I'll come back to that. And what I'll do is I'll watercolour my piece of shimmery white now so that it can start drying. So I have already got some die cut, so you didn't have to watch me do all that, but I'll just do one piece here. So this has already got some water and a bit of colour on the pad here already. On the tray, and I'll just add a bit to the shimmery white cardstock, and then I'm just going to keep on adding more and bring in some dark off the stamp pad, and I do want it to be quite dark. Just keep that spread out as much as I can. You can leave it to dry like that, or use your heat tool. And what I like about the heat tool too is you can use to move the colour around, so you get different variations of colour. I'll just give that a wee blast with my heat tool. I'll just set that aside to dry off a bit further, so I'll just pop that, and then I'll start getting the card ready. So what I want to do is adhere this barked sort of piece to the Sahara sand layering panel. And then I've got these pieces of DSP that I'm going to rip. So you want to rip from the same side. So if you were so as I rip here, you can see that the way it rips, it's different that side. This side shows a little bit of white, so depending if you want to show the white or not. And then if you're happy with that, how that's ripped, and then I'll do this one here. So just sort of, it's quite daunting if you're not a ripper. So if you're happy with that, I might just rip this one a little bit down this side a bit more. So that's probably about what I would like. So that is just going to sit on there. So So I'll just add some glue to that. I think it's one of those things, if you are like me and you prefer to cut things and have straight lines, it's a little bit daunting to do it, but I did find the more I did it, I enjoyed it more and I wasn't so stressed about it. And you know, at the end of the day, it is only paper. There's always another piece. Right, so that's just going to butt up to those bits. It's just lined up there. Probably you could do it first and then adhere the whole piece to the base. And then that piece there is going to go onto the red here. So you can use dimensionals, which is you know, an easy way, or I do make these little packing pieces. This one's probably a little bit tight, so I'll just trim that down. So what I do is I've just adhered about 3 pieces of just old card together. Just trim it down so it's a little bit smaller and will fit on there. So it's about 3 pieces. You know, the cardstock, the card that comes in your with your DSP, or that come with embellishments. I just glue them together, about 3 pieces. Just saves popping lots of dimensionals on. It gives a nice flat, even surface. And just pop that actually right. Doesn't really matter. So just glue that onto there. It's all good to go. Then I'm going to, I've got a piece of basic white cardstock, and I've got the sentiment from here, have yourself a merry little Christmas, and I've got real red, which coordinates with in here, so give that a good stamp and just pop that in the middle of that there. And I'm going to bring in my little mini die cutting machine, and I've got this circle is from the, I have to remember, the Stylish Shapes dies. And that just works really well on there. Just get that sort of where you'd like it, and then run that through. Anything with a little bit of stitching I always find looks pretty. And so that's going to go on there. And then the ribbon, I've got a piece of the Evening Evergreen ribbon, and I'm just going to cut that right down the centre. I just find when you've got thinner pieces, they sort of have more movement when you tie them. And also it makes a bigger bow, so you just want to, I don't know that there's particularly any easy way of doing this, but it doesn't have to be exactly straight. It won't be noticeable when you've tied it into a bow. And I find the easiest way to tie a bow with this is get the 2 pieces together, go to the centre, and then just do a loop that side and a loop that side, and then tie them into a knot. And then give a firm pull, and then you can just adjust the loops. And I pop them over my finger like that, and then pull that down, and you'll see that they're all even. And then I'll play around with that a little bit when I'm ready to pop it on to the sentiment circle. So now it's a matter of popping all the die cuts, so hopefully that will be dry enough. So I've got some here I've already done. So I've got 2 of the bigger ones, and I've got 3 so far of the smaller ones. And I actually like when it leaves in some of these pieces here. So what I've done with this piece is I've popped some adhesive onto the back in the hope of keeping it together. So I'll just, and a thicker amount to go through, and I'm only going to take it through once. So I've got that, and I've left some of these in too in the hope that that will help it not to die cut so right through. Right, pop that on there, and then just it's quite firm. Pull that off there, so we'll see how successful that was doing that. So that is just coming out of there with those in. I did actually put 2 layers of adhesive on, so just to give it an extra layer. So just want to be careful that it doesn't tear when you're pulling it off. And it doesn't matter if it is you know, you do get that adhesive back, because then you can, makes it easier to adhere to your project. Pull those pieces back, so long as I don't get, oh now it's totally getting stuck to me. So just get rid of all that. You can just pull a bit of that backing off. I just, as I say, just don't want to lose all those inner bits. Right, that's good. That has worked, so that's good. And these 2 have got solid pieces in them. So now it's a matter of popping it together. So glue dots are quite good too. And if you're not happy with the variation of colour once you've done it, you can add a bit of colour with, you know, with your water painter and a bit more of the darker colour. Just depends what sort of look you're going for. So then, let's pop a glue dot on there, and then work out where you want that to go. And it's just a matter of then placing your elements underneath here. And as I say, glue dots are quite good. You can just pop it on the back of there and then tuck them in. And if it has still got some adhesive, that works too. It just means it'll stick down. But I quite like it not to be all stuck down. I like it to sort of feel like it's moving a little bit. One can go. So just sort of spread them around so they poke out nicely from your sentiment. And anything, it's like just any time I use glue, I do manage to get it all sorts of places. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I must have another one. Oh, here it is. That one. Alternatively, you can, once you've popped your sentiment down, you can tuck these in just to know where they go. So that one about there. So I'll just pop that on, see how that looks. Probably a little bit more spread out than this one, but I don't think that matters. It's amazing, isn't it? Create the same project and it does look slightly different every time you do it. Pop some dimensionals on the back of that. And tuck that in there. And then the bow, so we're going to pop a dimensional about there, and then just play around with that a little bit just to get it to sit how you'd like it to sit. If you need it to be a bit more, you know, sit where you want it to, you can add more glue dots to tame the bow. I quite like that, so it looks like it's sort of moving. And then just trim those off a little bit. Just find if anything's too long, it's hard to pop it, my other ones are long, into an envelope. And then lastly, I've got these gorgeous red jewels, and they coordinate because they're real red, so they coordinate with everything in here. And I put 5 of these on just to add a bit sparkle. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and that is my card with my ripping. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you make anything, tag me. I'd love to see you, your creations. So thanks again, see you again, bye.